So I've just been editing this video, having just recorded it, and I realized during the editing that what you're about to watch is a quote miner's gold mine. So if you want to take something out of context and run with it and go present some big horrible case, go for it. I mean, dig in and have a good time. Hey everybody, JTO here. What about the children? What about the children? Now, in the MGTOW phenomenon, movement, whatever we call it, diaspora, well, I guess I need to talk about what that is in my view first before I get to what about the children. Men are opting out of marriage. They're, in some situations, opting out of the ladder of career. They're opting out of normal, what we would think of as normal romantic relationships. Some MGTOW guys are actually taking significant steps to just not deal with women at all. Like, at all. I won't work with women. I won't buy stuff in a store with female employees. I won't socialize with women, etc., etc. I mean, some guys go a long way. But at the core of it is no marriage, right? The most fundamental and emblematic of gynocentric institutions is marriage. And when the rational reason behind this is pointed out in conversation, what we very often hear as rebuttal is, what about the children? Who's going to raise the children? Without men, how are we going to raise the children? Without their incomes, how are we going to raise the children? And this is really kind of a trump card, because it's putting a consequence to, a child in hypothetical argument who is an innocent, who is dependent on the adults around them. Putting them kind of on the chopping block, as if to say that the MGTOW guy, the guy who says, I will not be married, I won't be party to this long-term relationship, I won't have the handcuffs of the state put on me, I will not participate in any of the institutions which put that metaphorical gun back into play pointed at the guy. I'm out. I'm taking care of myself and you can take care of yourself. Get lost. Goodbye. Have a nice day. What about the children? Is basically bringing children in as a hostage to this conversation so that the guy is now put in a position where he's putting the child, in hypothetical, in threat, in danger. What about the children? How do we raise children if men opt out of all these gynocentric institutions? The answer is we don't. The argument, what about the children, the hypothetical, rhetorical tactic, has some implications. The implication is, yes, we see your pain. Yes, we see the injustice. We recognize the violence. We recognize the coercion of the state. We also recognize, the death rates and the men die earlier and commit suicide more. All that stuff. But what about the children? That is what is encapsulated in that word. But all the other stuff is wrapped up and carried along. But what about the children? Is not a statement of, we recognize these problems and let's figure out a way to have a human society, to have families, to have romantic or sexual relationships between men and women without that threat of violence that is implicit in all the gun in the room stuff. They're recognizing the problem, but they're not saying, let's find a way to do it without the violence and the coercion and the destruction of men and the marginalization of the civil rights of half the population. They're saying, but we've got a good deal for ourselves right now, so, it would be inconvenient for us to do anything except just bring the kid in as a hostage, get back on the treadmill. The but, the but that brings in all that other stuff. I feel bad for you. It's inconvenient for me to do anything about it, but I feel bad, therefore give me some brownie points. Give me a gold star on my report card. I got you a Hallmark card. I'm not going to do anything other than repeat a few MRA talking points to show that I really feel bad for you. I'm not going to do anything because it's actually convenient for me to just sit here and continue to take advantage of the existing gynocentric norms, the existing structures that disadvantage and marginalize men. But I feel bad, so I'm one of the good ones. I'm not like those other ones. And also, by the way, if you're a woman, women like to snipe at and pick at other women. It's fucking fun for them. So it gives them an opportunity to, sneer at and jab at feminists who are just other women. The actual solution to the problem, which would require the abandonment of gynocentric social and legal institutions, nah, that's too inconvenient. So, for men who I would say are on a MGTOW path, acting to self-actualize to protect themselves from the exploitation of existing social structures and gynocentric norms and legal institutions and so on, when that hypothetical hostage-taking comes into the conversation, what about the children? The answer is fuck the children. Now, that is not to say that guys on the MGTOW path or espousing a MGTOW philosophy are wanting to put children into harm's way. That's not what it is at all. It is that the question, what about the children, is a rhetorical hostage-taking of a hypothetical child. If you don't do what we want, this child's gonna get it. It's and as I think about it, as I'm developing this idea while I'm talking to this camera here, I realize it is the most unscrupulous, dishonest, and at its core violent tactic to make the act of self-determination and self-preservation of men that is the MGTOW phenomenon, to recontextualize that as threat to a child. And the answer is fuck the children, because all that is a threat being hypothesized to a child or to children, saying to the guy, get back in your fucking cage, because if you don't, this kid's gonna get it. Fuck the children. Right in their little goat asses.